Welcome to this video. Today, you are going to learn about the hybrid RANS-LES strategies that are mostly used in computational aeroacoustic simulations. First, I would like to give a summary of the CAE methods presented in the previous modules. There are three main approaches to estimate sound generated from a flow field. Empirical and semi-empirical analytical methods are the ones with low fidelity, which are based on available test data together with some analytical relations. They are limited to specific noise problems. Numerical methods, the high-fidelity ones, are based on flow equations that vary according to the complexity of noise propagation. You can see here some examples that can be predicted with a single wave equation by a simple numerical method or with the Navier-Stokes equations by employing CFD simulations. Turbulent flow fields in a CFD simulation can be predicted by RANS, hybrid RANS-LES, wall-result LES, or simply LES, and DNS frameworks respectively from low to high accuracy. Noise estimation from 3D complex unsteady flow is not possible by RANS due to its accuracy, and DNS due to its cost. Instead, given the current computing capacities, hybrid methods appear to be more suitable for such CAE simulations. This is also supported by the CFD Vision 2030 roadmap shown on the slide. The main hybrid methods are very large eddy simulation, embedding LES, wall-modeled LES, and detached eddy simulation. In this video, we will focus on wall-modeled LES and DES strategies. Let's start with wall-modeled LES. We know that LES resolves large energetic scales, which become smaller progressively close to solid surfaces as the Reynolds number increases. Therefore, resolving energetic eddies everywhere is not feasible for wall-bounded flow simulations. Instead, wall-modeled LES approach models them in the inner layer, where RANS models are well-tuned and inexpensive. In principle, wall-modeled LES solves the flow field starting from the inner layer edge, where the required fluxes are imposed as boundary conditions. These boundary conditions are provided simultaneously by either direct estimations based on RANS concepts or performing RANS on a much more coarser grid within the inner layer. A disadvantage of this method is that it may cause a mismatch of skin fractions at the interface, which is called the log layer mismatch problem. The main improvements to this method in literature are regarding to solve this particular problem. Let's continue with the detached eddy simulation. DES is entirely based on RANS equations. It divides the computational domain into two separate regions, RANS and LES. In the RANS region, which is simply inside a boundary layer, DES models all the structures as RANS does. In the rest of the domain, which is the LES region, DES resolves the eddies. During the simulations, DES determines these regions by switching the turbulent length scale as shown here. This length scale is designed to be the minimum wall distance in RANS regions and the maximum cell size, delta max, in LES ones. In this way, a RANS model equation behaves like a Smigorski model in LES regions. To achieve this, the desired DES grid should be created such that the boundary layer thickness is much smaller than delta max, as shown in the figure. DES was initially designed for specific flow problems, where an attached boundary layer is massively separated from the surface. Modeling attached boundary layers reduces computational expense when compared to LES. On the other hand, resolving separated fields provides more accurate results than RANS. The important point here is that DES is good at in massively separated flows, where large eddies dominate the field, such that the grid resolution by delta max suffices for eddy resolution. However, it has also some disadvantages. DES makes the RANS LES switching sharply, which causes an uncertain region called gray area that is neither RANS nor LES. Besides, this switching is highly dependent on grid quality. let's analyze some cases to better understand the defects of DES. This is case 1, where the gray area is outside the boundary layer, as shown in the figure. Here, delta max is greater than the boundary layer thickness, which ensures that the runs region remains inside the boundary layer. This is the case where DES works properly. Now you see case 2, where the grid is not properly designed for the thickening boundary layer. In this case, the gray area moves inside the boundary layer and consequently causes an activation of the LES mode in regions having insufficient grid resolution. Since some eddies couldn't be resolved correctly, DES reveals less eddy viscosity than expected, which is known as the muddled stress depletion problem. This may subsequently lead to an early flow separation, which is called the grid-induced separation problem. Another defect is related to the delay of instabilities, as demonstrated in case 3. Here, in the early shear layer regions, which are very close to the surface, the runs mode is active because grids are usually designed for attached boundary layers. Inherently, shear layer instabilities are expected to grow in the corresponding region. However, DES computes larger eddy viscosity due to its runs mode, which eventually damp these instabilities. This is known as the delay of instabilities problem. There are some modifications proposed in literature regarding these defects. The most popular one is delayed DES or DDES, which cures the gray area problem regarding case 2. Recall that for an ambiguous grid, where delta max is less than the boundary layer thickness, as shown in the figure, LES is activated earlier than expected. Here, DDES uses a delaying function, ft, to prevent the activation of LES in attached boundary layers. This function is based on the instantaneous local flow variables and their gradients. It takes 0 when the flow is attached, so that DDES behaves as runs as expected. For the rest, ft becomes 1 and DDES takes the same form as DES. In this way, the grid dependency is reduced. As a solution to case 2, there is another approach called improved DDES or IDDES. It is a blending of wall-modeled LES and DDES. Here, DES-type wall-modeled LES implies that the runs region is restricted to the inner layer instead of the entire boundary layer. It aims to increase the eddy resolution level in cases of inflow turbulent content. Otherwise, it behaves the same as DDES. IDDES also solves the log layer mismatch problem by its elevating function, which prevents an excessive reduction of the modeled Reynolds stresses in the gray area. IDDES can be preferred in flow fields that involve reattachments, as appeared in the cavity noise problem. The last modification to be discussed in this video is the shear layer adapted SLA subgrid length scale, which was developed to deal with case 3, the delay of instabilities problem. In DDES, the use of delta max as a subgrid length scale is a safe choice to keep the runs functioning in boundary layers. However, in the case of separated shear layers, it damps and delays possible Kelvin-Helmholtz instability waves. Instead, delta SLA is suggested in this method, as in the formula. Although the formulation is not straightforward, it works in principle as follows. When it detects the initial quasi-2D regions in shear layers by its so-called vortex tilting measure function, it reduces the vorticity-aligned length scale up to 1 order. This provides a rapid switching from the runs mode to the LES mode. Therefore, it allows the Kelvin-Helmholtz instabilities to take over and increases the resolved 3D turbulent structures. In cases of attached boundary layers, this reduction is disabled to keep the boundary layer shielded, as done in DDES. Before finishing, I would like to show an example where standard DDES and DDES SLA methods are compared on the same grid. Here, flow simulations over a wind turbine blade are performed to predict the trailing edge noise, which is affected by the boundary layer transition. The figure shows the Q criterion as surfaces colored by eddy viscosity. On the same grid, DDES reveals mostly 2D vertical tubes. whereas DDES SLA detects the Helmholtz instabilities and makes the downstream region completely 3D. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it.